Is it okay? Hi, good evening, friends. Welcome to the demo class for Global Finance and Accounting. My name is Neelam Pandey. I will be taking you through in terms of just understanding what kind of role that you will be getting into and what is BPM, what is the importance here. आप ये सब समझ पाएंगे पहले तो हम फ्लो इस तरह से करेंगे कि आई विल जस्ट ब्रीफ यू अबाउट इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट इज बीपीएम, what kind of job roles you will get under this, what will be the salary package that you will be getting it, what we will be training you under this particular course. Simultaneously, post that, I have my trainer Radha who will take you through in terms of the course content, wherein she will explain or give a demo session in terms of what kind of uh, topics that we are going to go ahead and train under this. Now, similarly, I will show you under this. If you see, just one second. सो किस तरह के रोल्स बैक ऑफिस में आउटसोर्स होते हैं? सो अगर फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग के बारे में हम बोला जाए तो फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग के बारे में बोला जाए तो बहुत सारे रोल्स हैं आज के दिन में। अगर आप बोला जाए, अगर आप हमको बोलेंगे कि सिर्फ फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग के लिए हम छोटा से छोटा कोई भी कंपनी है, छोटे से लेके बड़ा फॉर्च्यून 500 कंपनी तक, हर कंपनी में फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग के प्रोसेस होते हैं, हर कंपनी में जॉब रोल्स होते हैं। ये पुराने जमाने की तरह नहीं है या फिर आज से 4-5 साल पहले जैसे हुआ करता था कि जस्ट क्या बोलते हैं, सिर्फ छोटा सा अकाउंटिंग सेक्शन होता था जहां पे कि उन लोग अपना सिर्फ बिलिंग का वर्क करते थे या पेरोल का वर्क करते थे। नो, बट यहाँ पे अभी क्या होता है, इफ यू सी देर आर डिफरेंट आउटसोर्सिंग इंटरनल बिजनेस प्रोसेसेस, बिलिंग टू परचेज, राइट? सो देर आर पेरोल एंड बेनिफिट्स, ट्रैवल एंड एक्सपेंस, टेक्निकल हेल्प डेस्क का रहता है, इंश्योरेंस का रहता है, कस्टमर केयर के जॉब रोल्स रहते हैं, कलेक्शंस के रहते हैं। ये डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ जॉब रोल्स हैं। बट अगर हम फाइनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग की तरफ आएंगे तो वहां पे जॉब रोल्स रहते हैं जैसे अकाउंट्स पेबल, अकाउंट्स रिसीवेबल, रिकंसिलिएशन, फिक्स एसेट अकाउंटिंग, फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग एंड एनालिसिस, फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग। सो ऐसे बहुत सारे जॉब रोल्स रहते हैं और ये सिर्फ नाम है, बट इसके अंदर हम लोग बहुत सारी चीजें पढ़ेंगे जो कि काफी सारे जॉब रोल्स में आपको हेल्पफुल रहेगा। Now, moving on, if you see, there are different line of businesses, the things which are outsourced. Now, abhi kya hota hai, majority of the companies, why they feel that they want to outsource their businesses for multiple reasons. And the line of businesses that outsource are customer care, collections, finance and accounting, analytics, IT services, supply chain management, and many more. Now, having said that, बीपीओ इंडस्ट्री में बहुत सारे आउटसोर्सिंग होते हैं। नाउ आउटसोर्सिंग में कैसे रहेगा, मल्टीनेशनल बीपीओज रहते हैं जो इंटरनेशनल कॉरपोरेशन जो सर्विसेज डिलीवर करते हैं उनको आउटसोर्स करेंगे। कुछ कैप्टिव कंपनीज भी होती हैं जो एमएनसीज ओन यूनिट्स होती हैं, और इनके बीच में डिफरेंस क्या होता है? नाउ आउटसोर्सिंग मतलब कि उनकी कंपनी फॉर एग्जांपल यूएस में है और उनका फाइनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग का प्रोसेस है, वो इंडिया को आउटसोर्स करेंगी ताकि इंडिया के लोग इंडिया में बैठे बैठे उनका काम करके उनको दें। सो दैट इज आउटसोर्सिंग। नाउ व्हाट इज कैप्टिव यूनिट? कैप्टिव यूनिट फॉर एग्जांपल अमेजॉन। अमेजॉन यूएस में भी है, अमेजॉन अपना यूनिट इंडिया में भी खोल दिया, अलग अलग जगह पे उसका एक ब्रांच खोल दिया, तो उस ब्रांच में भी फाइनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग के रोल्स रहते हैं। सो दोज आर डिफरेंट. So that is the difference between multinational BPOs and captive units. Now, if to give you more better idea about it, if you see, BPO organizations will be like Genpact, IBM, Accenture, Cognizant, Capgemini, 24/7, Aegis, और captive company जैसे कि मैं बता रही थी, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, ADP, DuPont, Dell, Wells Fargo. So these are captive companies. नाउ आउटसोर्सिंग में जैसे मैं अभी बता रही थी, बहुत सारे रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज रहते हैं। दीज आर डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस दैट वी वर जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट। इस ग्राफ पे मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगी, अगर आप नोटिस करेंगे 2002 में जो बीपीओ रेवेन्यूज होते थे विच वेर अराउंड 1.6 बिलियन, राइट? अभी 2022 में उनके रेवेन्यूज हो गए हैं 14.7। सिमिलरली जो डायरेक्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट रहते हैं उसमें 2002 में 155 का रेवेन्यू रहता था, यहाँ पे देखिए 985 रहते हैं। तो इसमें ग्रोथ आप देख रहे हैं कितना हो रहा है, 31% ग्रोथ। मतलब आज के दिन इंडिया में immense job roles hain. If you ask me, minimum these companies on a daily basis or in a monthly basis hire 30-40,000 people because they have immense need in all the different verticals under FNA processes. Uh, अभी ये स्लाइड में अगर आप देखेंगे, बहुत सारी कंपनीज हैं, राइट, जो फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग आउटसोर्सिंग में लीडर्स रह चुकी हैं। सो लीडर्स हमारे कौन कौन है? IBM, एक्सेंचर, जेनपैक्ट, एंड देर आर अदर कंपनीज जो ब्लू में हाईलाइटेड, अगर आप देखेंगे इस मैप में, दे आर ऑल्सो रीचिंग ऑलमोस्ट देयर to ensure ki they are reaching the peak and giving a good competition. So it is just not the bigger companies that have all these processes, but there are multiple other companies as well who have lot of roles and requirements under this particular section. Uh, Again, if you see here, India continues to be the major player. How? Because there is no problem in terms of language dependency. For example, if we talk about Europe or Germany and all these things, or China for that matter, people dependency on their local language is higher compared to the dependency in India, right? Because in India हम लोग इंग्लिश अच्छी तरह से समझते हैं, अच्छी तरह से बोल लेते हैं, और हमारा एक्सेंट न्यूट्रलाइजेशन है। सो बाकी कंट्रीज के लोगों को हमारी इंग्लिश समझने में कोई मुसीबत नहीं आती है। सो इस तरीके से अगर आप देखा जाए तो इंडिया में जितनी आउटसोर्सिंग होती है 54% अगर देखा जाए, डिलीवरी सेंटर्स हमारे 77 हैं, और नंबर ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडर अभी तक 18 है, और बाकी कंट्रीज में देखिए बहुत ही कम है। ये मना नहीं किया जाता कि नहीं है, बट डिपेंडेंसी कम हो जाती है क्योंकि उनकी इंग्लिश मे बी उतनी अच्छी नहीं होती, या फिर उनका कोलोकियल लैंग्वेज थोड़ा रहता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ दे हैव देयर ओन रीजनल लैंग्वेज इफेक्ट ऑन इंग्लिश। दैट्स व्हाई that is one of the biggest reason इंडिया के अंदर बहुत सारे कंपनीज आना चाहती हैं और अपनी कंपनीज खोलना चाहती हैं और अपना प्रोसेस आउटसोर्स करना चाहती हैं। एंड वो बहुत अच्छी बात है क्योंकि हमको उस तरह से जॉब्स मिलेंगे, और हमको अगर जॉब्स मिलेंगे तो हम आपको वो जॉब्स दिला पाएंगे। मूविंग ऑन, अगेन इफ यू सी, पूरे वर्ल्ड में बहुत सारी चीजें, बहुत सारे सेंटर्स हैं, बट इंडिया में सेंटर सबसे ज्यादा है इस एरिया में अगर आप देखेंगे तो, राइट? ओके, यहाँ पे मैं आप लोगों का फोकस करना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग अगर आप देखा जाए पहले की तरह नहीं है कि इट्स जस्ट अ ट्रांजैक्शनल जॉब, राइट? Finance and accounting is now divided into 3 major things. One is obviously जब आप जॉब स्टार्ट करेंगे, अभी हमारा जो कोर्स हम प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं वो कोर्स करने के बाद पहले तो आप बेसिक से ही स्टार्ट करेंगे, बट इसमें आपका फोकस मैं इसलिए लाना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि इसमें ग्रोथ बहुत ज्यादा है। क्योंकि कोई भी अगर प्रोसेस में आप मूव करेंगे, अगर उसमें ग्रोथ नहीं है तो यू आर स्टक समवेयर, राइट? नाउ हियर व्हाट हैपेंस इज व्हेन यू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम अ ट्रांजैक्शनल लेवल, like payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable. Now when I talk about accounts receivable, आज राधा जो हमारी ट्रेनर है, she will also cover bits of payroll and accounts receivable. Okay, and general accounting, fixed asset, tax, ये सारी ट्रांजैक्शनल जॉब्स रहेंगे। लेट्स से आपने कंपनी ज्वाइन करी, 1.5 से 2 साल के अंदर यू विल बी अंडर दीज प्रोसेसेस, देन यू विल मूव टू अ हायर लेवल, और the level of work will be higher. Now, if you talk about regulatory reporting, management reporting, treasury, budgeting, internal audit, capital budgeting, these are the roles where you need some kind of judgment, wherein आपको थोड़ी जजमेंट की जरूरत होगी। आप सोचेंगे हमको ये स्टेप लेना चाहिए, इसके लिए हमको बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट क्लोज करना चाहिए, हमारे बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट में क्या चीज डेलिंक्वेंसी अभी भी दिखा रही है, इसको हम कैसे कवर कर सकते हैं, वो सारी चीजें, ये सारी मिडिल पार्ट में जहां पे आपको जजमेंट के लिए जरूरत होगी, दैट्स व्हेन यू मूव टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल। नाउ उसके बाद you come into a finance and accounting strategy piece wherein you will work on different kind of strategies for the organization. So that is the level of work that we are here. Again, having said that, when we move to the next slide, you will see it is just not the work that we are doing under these ओनली इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स, बट इस स्लाइड में आपको पता चलेगा कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल सिर्फ पेरोल में आप सिर्फ पेरोल नहीं करेंगे, उसके अंदर क्या क्या चीजें, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट चीजें आएंगी। उसमें स्ट्रैटेजी आएगा, अर्निंग्स आएगा, डिडक्शंस आएगा, चेक्स एंड ईएफटीज आएंगे, रिकंसिलिएशन आ सकता है। सिमिलरली अगर आप टैक्स में करेंगे तो टैक्स में स्ट्रैटेजी रहेगा, टैक्स अकाउंटिंग रहेगा, टैक्स प्लानिंग रहेगा। अगर आप मिडिल जजमेंट एरिया में अगर आप देखेंगे तो रेगुलेटरी रिपोर्टिंग के हिसाब से अगर आप जाएंगे, that's when you will have strategy, data extraction, analysis, all these things. Similarly budgeting में अगर जाएंगे तो आपको बिल्ड लाइन आइटम बजट करना पड़ेगा, फोरकास्ट रोल अप करना पड़ेगा, फोरकास्ट एनालिसिस बताना पड़ेगा। So all these things are there. Again, if you move to strategy, जब आप let's say 5-6 साल जजमेंट वाले रोल पे रह गए and then you move to a leadership role जहां पे कि आप स्ट्रैटेजी में इन्वॉल्व रहेंगे, वहां पे आपको फिनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी इंक्लूडिंग टैक्स एंड रिस्क पोजीशंस आपको डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा, आपको पॉलिसीज बनानी पड़ेंगी, कंट्रोल्स बनाना पड़ेगा, आपको शेयर होल्डर रिलेशनशिप मेंटेन करना पड़ेगा, जो एक्सटर्नल रिपोर्टिंग होती है, इंटरनल रिपोर्टिंग होती है, वो सारी चीजें आपको देख के करनी पड़ेंगी। नाउ अगेन सबसे बड़ी रीजन व्हाई पीपल आर आउटसोर्सिंग, सो देयर वाज सम काइंड ऑफ सर्वे दैट वाज डन एज पर एवरेस्ट रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट। उसमें सबसे बड़ा रीजन आउटसोर्सिंग का ये दिया गया था कि एक तो कॉस्ट सेविंग है ऑब्वियसली, बिकॉज कॉस्ट रिलेटेड बेनिफिट्स रिमेन्स द पैरामाउंट ऑफ द एंटायर एफएनए आउटसोर्सिंग। बट उसके अलावा भी आप देखेंगे कि 15% क्या बोलते हैं कि मेजर फैक्टर ये भी होता है कि स्ट्रीमलाइन होती हैं प्रोसेसेस। दूसरी चीजें ये होती हैं कि क्रिटिकल आइटम्स जो हमारे रहते हैं मार्केट में, वो एक जगह पे प्रेशराइज नहीं होते, हमारे वर्क डिवाइड हो जाते हैं। तो अगर इन केस ऑफ एनी रिस्क वी हैव सम यू नो बैकअप वेर इन पीपल कैन वर्क फॉर अस। सो देर आर डिफरेंट रीजंस अराउंड इट। ये रीजंस को कौन ड्राइव करता है? आप देखिए, सिर्फ कॉस्ट वैल्यू नहीं है आउटसोर्स जो होता है। आउटसोर्स होता है प्रोसेस ऑप्टिमाइज होता है, हमारा बेटर बेस्ट इन क्लास फाइनेंस बनेगा, हम अच्छी सर्विस लेवल्स दे सकते हैं। ऑब्वियसली कॉस्ट रिडक्शन एक मेजर रीजन भी है, 67% अगर बोला जाए, क्योंकि कॉस्ट एफिशिएंसी रहती है अगर वो आउटसोर्स करेंगे अपने बिजनेस को। ग्रेटर फोकस रहता है, आप देखिए एलिवेट रोल ऑफ रिटेन्ड फाइनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग रहता है, एंड बेस्ट इन इंडस्ट्री रहता है। Then centralization and standardization is again big thing, because what happens is there are multiple people, multiple geographies doing different kind of work, but if they outsource to one location, what happens is a standardization or a standard operating system is created where people will work as per the standard operating system, and the entire business is standardized and centralized, so that there is no difference between the kind of work. Maybe when it was located across, there were different type of people working differently and their style was different, but here it won't be the same. Here they will do a standard work which is required to be driven to get the output of the entire business, and there are other factors as well. ओके, सिमिलरली इस स्लाइड पे मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम स्पेंड करना चाहूंगी। अगर आप देखेंगे, आप ये कोर्स करेंगे, जो हमारा कोर्स है ग्लोबल फाइनेंस एंड अकाउंटिंग, इसमें तीन चीजें हैं। एक तो है आपका प्रोक्योर टू पे, दूसरा आपका है ऑर्डर टू कैश, एंड तीसरा है रिकॉर्ड टू रिपोर्ट। नाउ आप कुछ भी करें, अभी तीनों में से कोई भी अगर आप कोर्स लेना चाहते हैं, आप कोई भी कोर्स ले सकते हैं। आपकी स्टार्टिंग सैलरी होगी 3 से या 2 से 5 लाख तक। यहाँ से आप स्टार्ट करेंगे एसोसिएट। जनरली आप क्या होता है मिडिल मैनेजमेंट लेवल तक पहुंचने के लिए अगर आप बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो आपका टाइम कुछ नहीं तो भी 10 से 12 साल लगेगा एंड आप पहुंच जाएंगे। एंड सिमिलरली उसके बाद अगर आप एवरेज वर्कर हैं तो आपको मिनिमम 14 से 15 साल लगेंगे टू रीच टू दिस लेवल, एसोसिएट डायरेक्टर लेवल, राइट, जहां पे आपकी सैलरी 60 लाख तक हो जाएगी। लेकिन एक्सपेक्टेशन यही है कि यू आर एक्सट्रीमली गुड, यू शुड बी डूइंग एक्सट्रीमली गुड इन योर जॉब रोल्स एंड देन व्हेन यू स्टार्ट मे बी इन 5-6 years itself you will reach here, right? That is the expectation as of now. But having said that, उतना हाई एक्सपेक्टेशन मैं सेट करना नहीं चाहती। मैं स्टिल यही कहूंगी कि एवरेज अगर देखेंगे इंडस्ट्री में सो मिनिमम 8 से 10 साल में लोग यहाँ पे जरूर पहुंच जाते हैं। अगर वो हायर मैनेजमेंट का हम बात करें तो हायर मैनेजमेंट में अब वो तो मिडिल मैनेजमेंट था, अब हायर मैनेजमेंट से ऊपर जाने के लिए मिनिमम 5 से 6 साल अगर लगते हैं। अगर कोई थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम लेता है तो 8-10 साल भी लगते हैं, लेकिन वही जो सैलरी आपकी 60 लाख है 4 से 5 साल में 1 से 2 करोड़ तक पहुंच सकती है। So, as I mentioned earlier, there is immense requirement in the industry. There are companies. Yesterday we had a webinar wherein we just spoke about, Swapnil spoke about, in fact, Sushil spoke about that there are companies who will hire in terms of all the finance and accounting job roles across industry. And and the reason that we are conducting these demo sessions, before we go ahead and move to the demo sessions, the reason I wanted to take 10 to 15 minutes of your time is just to ensure that I will show you कि हमारे इंडस्ट्री में काम कैसे आता है। अगर काम आ रहा है तो जॉब रोल्स क्रिएट हो रहे हैं, और जॉब रोल्स क्रिएट हो रहे हैं तो वो हमारे बेनिफिट के लिए हो रहा है। इसीलिए हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि हम आपका करियर बनाएंगे। अगर आप ये कोर्स एनरोल करते हैं 20 से 25 दिन के अंदर आपका इंटरव्यू लाइनअप हो जाएगा। अगेन उसके बाद 10 से 15 दिन के अंदर आपकी ज्वाइनिंग हो जाएगी। ये पूरा प्रोसेस ही बहुत फास्ट ट्रैक मोड में है। जितना जल्दी आप करेंगे उतनी जल्दी आपको एनरोलमेंट मिलेगा, राइट? Again, to give you a quick example, if you ask me, my name is Neelam Pandey. I just told you at the beginning of this particular session. I've been in the industry for last 14 years now. And I started with associate role that I was talking about you. And एसोसिएट रोल से इवेंचुअली 14 साल में अभी आई एम वर्किंग एज एसोसिएट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। मैं 11 साल जेनपैक्ट में काम करी, फिर टाटा में काम करी 2 साल, फिर अभी माइंड मैप में काम कर रही हूँ। जर्नी बहुत ही अच्छी रहती है। ये मैं अपने पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस से बता रही हूँ क्योंकि आई हैव बीन थ्रू दैट जर्नी। That is really good. If you're really good, you can easily reach the heights that you are looking forward to. Okay, so that's it from my end. I will go ahead and give this particular session to Radha, who is our trainer, and she will go ahead and take you through the overview of Procure to Pay, wherein she will take you through the entire life cycle and make you understand what exactly will you learn under this particular course. एंड मे बी सम ऑफ द टॉपिक्स तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि अच्छा अगर आप प्रोक्योर टू पे ले रहे हैं तो उसमें आपको क्या क्या पढ़ना रहेगा, कैसे पढ़ना रहेगा, किस लेवल तक पढ़ना रहेगा, और आपको क्या करने से आप जॉब क्रैक कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू, दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय एंड। ओवर टू यू राधा। आई विल जस्ट गो अहेड एंड गिव इट टू राधा।
Hi all, Namaste, good afternoon. My name is Radha and I'm a procure to pay trainer. Just to begin with the session, I would like to introduce myself. मेरा नाम राधा है, okay, and Procure to pay field me itself. I'm having overall 14 years of experience, wherein I joined as an associate, similar to Neelam. I started my career as a associate. फिर धीरे धीरे मैं ladder चढ़ती गई, because why procure to pay, that is purely the interest, guys, because uh, I was a commerce graduate, so that was my area of interest which I continued. So of course big like so immediately I started an associate, which I was not expecting. I was thinking कि salary कुछ ज़्यादा होगा, कुछ ज़्यादा मिलेगा, and position मिलेगा. So but what I realized after joining was, no, I need to have a basic understanding of the subject, which is mandatory. Of course, जो हम अपनी ग्रेजुएशन में पढ़ते हैं, लिटिल बिट वी कैरी फॉरवर्ड हियर. Okay, no matter what graduation we are doing, whether we are BCom, MCom, or CA, SAW, there will be little bit that we will carry to the that we will see in our live program or live process that we do. So that step of taking from the initial, like from a basic, that really helped me out. So guys, right now I'm into a training, complete procure to pay training batches I take. Along with that, I was part of operations as well. So you can say that Radha did all that activities or the process that is there in the procure to pay. So guys, this lot of learning you will see here, okay, and lot of exposure towards the accounts. Okay, so let's come to procure to pay. So first, before starting procure to pay, I would like to tell you that in the F&E domain, we have major procure to pay, order to cash, and R2R. So most of the account people are aware of this for sure. Okay, so now coming to procure to pay, what does it mean? See, the word itself says that procure to pay. From the time we procure the goods, okay, till we make a payment. So are we talking, when we say that procure to pay, are we talking about the goods and services which are required to run a business? So there is a difference, guys. Okay, when we buy goods and services which will help the core business to work. Okay, so let's say take an example of Amul. Okay, so this Amul company, the core business of Amul is the producing the dairy products. Okay, so the raw material for that is a milk that they procure from others, right, from the sellers. But what is happening here is, when we talk about procure to pay, we are not talking about the core business. So ideally, we are talking about the all the goods and services that we buy in order to run a core business properly. So what are they? For example, so any company will have a department, finance department, logistics department, then IT department, marketing department. So obviously Amul will also have a marketing department. They will have a finance department. So to run these departments successfully, which is also indirectly helping the core business, it is where the procure to pay comes into picture. So for example, let's take a marketing department. So marketing department is very important for a Amul company, right? So what will marketing department do? They will prepare a strategies, they will plan it, and they will try to market the product. So in order to support a marketing team, what all do we need? For example, we will need laptops, we need mobile phones, we need desk for them, we need a building for them to sit and work. So like this, a simple thing, guys, even a coffee machine in the floor, so that the marketing employees will not waste much time going to the other part of the building to just to grab a cup of tea or a coffee, right? So such small things wherein which will help the separate departments to work properly, so that indirectly that is helping the overall business. So procuring these things and till we make a payment, that is where we will talk about procure to pay process. Okay, coming to this, what is procure to pay? So this is the cycle of procure to pay, guys, how the process happens. Okay, so if you notice requisition, okay, so the point I mentioned here is need is identified and requisition raised. So what is that, guys? When I start a business, okay, let's say it's a new business. So we are setting up a business and there are like 1,000 employees that are gonna join this company. Okay, let's take an example. So 1,000 people means what all are needed for the 1,000 people to come and work properly. I need laptops, I need mobile phones or a desk phones, I need headphones, I need desks, I need chair, I need water for them. I need mainly I need a building to set up those departments and so that people can come and sit and do. So I have to first identify the need. So my need, for example, has been identified as a laptops. Okay. Then what I will do is, as a person, see, I'm a responsible to get those things to the floor. So I will go ahead and raise a request in the system. So purely for the procurement or the procure to pay terminologies, guys, it is set as a requisition. So there are certain terminologies जो हम यूज करते हैं बीच प्रोसेस के लिए, wherein it will be like easy for everybody to understand when it's a finance. So there is a discussion happening. So these terminologies will help them to understand easily. So once a requisition is raised, then what I will do, I will go and search for a vendor. Okay, then as a requester in the department who is responsible to get laptops to the system to the floor, I will go ahead and check for a vendor in the market. In the market, in the sense, we will not go to the an open market and search for. We will go Google it out. We will check, is there any vendor available who can provide me the laptops with all the required configuration. Okay, and also, does he fit into my budget? See, I know what I want, I know when I want, by what date I want, and I also know how much I'm ready to spend. So, what is my budget? So, when I go and check for a vendor, is there any vendor who can provide me laptops for this much amount? And these are the configuration that needs to be there. And also, there should be a ideally a date, a particular date if they are ready to. Okay, if I'm able to find it, I will talk to them, I will check with them, and I will ask for a quotation. Okay, then I will like, if I come across multiple vendors, so there are chances, right? There are multiple vendors, like for example Dell, HP, or any other, so in the market. So everybody approached me that I'm ready to provide you the laptops. Okay, then what happens? Okay, fine, let's take a quotation from them and see which vendor fits in our budget and requirement. That's how it happens. Then I finalize one of the vendor. Then we will go ahead and sign an agreement that, okay, fine, these many these many laptops, this much amount, and this is the date we need it. Okay, then we will go ahead and sign an agreement, and the vendor will also agree that, okay, fine, I'm ready to deliver the goods on this day. So the best part here, guys, not every time we will go and approach the vendor. The first time when we approach, right, we have a good chance that we can communicate and we can get into a contract with them. Okay, thinking that in the near future we might need the same goods again or a service. So it's guys, procure to pay doesn't limit themselves to us product goods only, even services. For services like any tax consultant or any chartered accountant, okay, or any kind of external trainer if the organization need any trainer, okay, depending on the subject. So all these services all are also covered. Then once the vendor is identified and this particular requisition gets approved, okay, then the outcome is called as a purchase order. So the once a requisition is approved, that particular request gets converted to a purchase order, and purchase order is automatically sent to the vendor. So now we know what we need, we identify the vendor, और अब हम हमें order place करना है, क्यों करना है, so that हमें goods or a laptop whatever we are asking for, they can deliver us on time. So the purchase order copy itself reflects as a order, placement of order. So once vendor receives the purchase order copy or a order, okay, they will go ahead and ship the goods to us, to the customer. And once the goods and services are received, guys, it's a duty of a requester, whoever requested originally. For example, I was requesting for laptop, so it's my responsibility to go ahead and confirm in the system wherever I raised a requisition that yes, I received the goods which I ordered for, okay, and on time. So if I'm in any case, if I'm getting only partial order, even then I have to go back and say that confirm in the system that yes, I received the goods, but however for this much amount. Why it is required, guys? In order to process a payment and make a payment on time, this confirmation is required. So basically, this the confirmation of a requester upon receiving a goods or service is called as a goods receipt note, which is a GRN. So once the GRN is completed, invoice is submitted by the vendor and it is processed. So when it will be paid? It will be paid as per the payment terms. So guys, when we get into a contract with the vendor, we clearly mention that we will make a payment on the basis of the payment terms. So we have generally the all the customers will have a payment terms, guys. Why payment terms? I will come to that point, but all will have a payment term, whether that can be a 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, or upon receiving an invoice. So everything will be communicated to the vendor that when are we going to make a payment. Okay, so invoices are paid as per the payment terms to the supplier. So this is what the overall procure to pay cycle from the time the need is actually identified till the payment is executed from the accounts payable end. The whole process is called procure to pay. Okay, so why we will have a payment terms, everything we will come into that point. So let's talk about accounts payable. So if you notice, guys, here once the invoice is submitted, here is when the accounts payable starts. So before that, whatever happens, procuring, identifying the need and procuring the goods is something in upstream of that. So once invoice is processed, this is what it is called accounts payable. I know accounts payable is very common subject, guys. Very commonly we heard accounts payable, accounts receivable. But what it is, we will get into a little bit inside that so that you will have an idea what exactly happens in the accounts payable. So accounts payable is, let's see the definition. Accounts payable is a money owed by the business to its vendor against the goods and services purchased in credit. So if you notice the last word in the first sentence talks about credit. So procure to pay completely handles all the purchases which are made in credit, guys. Okay, that's the reason we have a payment term, because we are not making an immediate payment to our vendors. So because guys, when we set up a big organizations, okay, so there is a budget that they plan it for. So immediate cash outflow is not encouraged or not planned, because they have day-to-day expenses that needs to be met, also day-to-day production that needs to be met. So anything that we are buying the goods or a service which are supporting the business will go on a credit basis. So there will be a 30 days payment term, 60 days, 90 days. So not men, it will not increase 90 days, guys, but however it can be less than 30 days as well. If the person says that, if the vendor comes and says that, okay, fine, I'm ready to give you the goods and services, and I'm also ready to give you a discount if you pay me early before your payment term. If you're ready to make a payment to me, I'm ready to give you a discount. That makes sense, guys. So because now the vendor is in such a situation that he might be a small business, or he might be relied on these payments, so he expects that we make a payment too early to him so that he can give us a discount. So that's also good for us because we are getting a uh, discount. The customer is also happy and the vendor is also happy. Okay. So accounts payable is basically a current liability which is posted on the right side of the balance sheet. Okay. So coming to the importance of accounts payable, see, first point, it helps in making accurate payment on time. So guys, the main agenda of setting up of an accounts payable department separately than the finance department is just to make sure that we make a payment on time and accurate payment. Okay, because guys, this see, people might get doubt that why accounts payable, even though if it's dealing with money or invoices, why it is separate from the finance department, internal finance, who handles all expenses, all buying, selling, or anything, right? Why? Because accounts payable needs lot of attention, lot of skilled people, trained people, a regular update. So when we have a separate dedicated team, okay, who are not handling anything other than the accounts payable, that will help any organization to make the accurate on time payment, because at the end it will, the wrong payment or late payments will completely at the end it will result to a I mean, negative effect on the goodwill. Overall, the business can get affected. How? If you don't make a payment on time, obviously the vendor will go ahead and report out that to the revenue department or income tax department, and at the end, you are marked as a past due. So in the future, if you try to go ahead and do the business with anybody else, okay, what will happen? They will see your history. What is your payment history? Okay, before doing a business with us, obviously the payment is delayed. Okay, law, we have been delaying the payment for multiple vendors, so obviously the vendor will step back in getting a business with us. So it's an overall effect in our accounts payable. So we cannot buy the goods, we cannot, which will again indirectly affect the core business. Okay, so it helps in making accurate payment on time. It helps in avoiding immediate cash outflow. So as I was saying that when we do a business, big organization, they do a business and they have a budget available for them. They plan their budget. This cash, immediate cash outflow will be stopped because we are buying in the credit. Helps in preparing financial statements to enhance visibility for better decision. So obviously guys, at the end when financials are made, accounts payable have the contribution in while preparing the financial statements. So they give the expenses, liabilities, what is the total liability, current liability, what are the expenses that are getting incurred for particular department, for what kind of expenses that we are taking, like for example laptops, or for example chairs, or anything for a business to run. So at the end, the decision makers will understand that what were our budget that we planned in the beginning of the year, what are the expenses that incurred, which is the department that got more expenses, or what kind of expenses, so that when they allocate the funds for the next year, okay, they will try to make an adjustment depending on the previous year's expenses. Okay, so it means that we are also helping the accounting team in the decision making. Then helps in analyzing the process gaps. So what does that mean? Means when we have a dedicated process, guys, we have a skilled people, So the way when you get when you get trained, okay, now for a company you are a like ready-made product available for them. So they don't have to must I mean they don't have to waste much time in training a new resources who will be just a fresher. So when you go through the training of mind map, you will understand that you are almost 60 to 70% you have covered the syllabus. It's that practically how you use the application, how you put the information is something that they will take care of. Okay, so helps in analyzing the process gap. Okay, helps in the analyzing the process gaps. Means in any case, if for example let's say there are there is a trend of payments which are going late. So when we have a dedicated accounts payable process, there will be a quality check people who will check that why is that we are making more delayed payments. Is that something internal business who has to give details are not giving proper details on time, or is it then something vendor is something giving an incomplete information, or is something the accounts payable team which is which is not able to which the team which is not able to handle the process. So this analyzation, when this analyzation happens guys, they come up with so many ideas which will help the process improvement. And process standardization as well means there is a standard process no matter which country you are working for, no matter which zone you are working for. When there are standard process, it's very easy for people to follow and have a error free process. Okay, that's an importance, few importance of accounts payable. So now we will see very quickly, guys. So I personally believe that when we are doing anything, okay, we also have to understand what happens before that and what happens after that, after our work, right? So that may, if you start preparing a connection, it will be easy for you to grow as well within the team, guys. Okay, so if I'm, so for example, I'm sitting only on accounts payable and seeing what is happening. I don't know what happens before, I don't know what happens next. You never know, after 1 year or 2 years, I get an opportunity wherein I have an opportunity to grow in the next team, right? But I'm not aware of anything. So always exploring ourselves within our domain is always advisable, guys, because that will help you in understand and grab any opportunity that is available that comes on the way. So for accounts payable, the upstream and downstream, if you see upstream, we spoke about just earlier. I need identification, what is needed, vendor identification, vendor setup, purchase order is raised, goods receipt confirmation, that's a GRN that we spoke about. Okay. Then accounts payable. That is what we will talk more little more about it. So accounts payable, what we do, invoice scanning and indexing, invoice processing, vendor management, cost center, I will come to this, but it's a cost center code, GL code, and the approval and payment execution. So when I'm saying payment execution, guys, in the accounts payable, from the time invoice comes to the queue and the agent picks up for processing till payment execution, that is what accounts payable deal with. Okay, payment execution means we are preparing the data that is required for a bank to release the payment. So accounts payable never makes the payment. Accounts payable is responsible till payment is executed and data is shared with the bank to release the payments. Okay. Then what happens post payment is executed? Okay, preparing checks, remittance advice, general ledger reconciliation, and escheatment process. So what are they are commonly used words, guys. It's nothing new. Preparing checks means, see, we have to understand that accounts payable is outsourced. Okay, when accounts payable is outsourced and you are working for some US or another country like UK, any European country, what happens is the preparing of check is not possible sitting in other country. So if you're working for a US based company, the vendor is also from US, the bank is also located in US. Just because you process the invoices here, the accounts payable is outsourced to India or any other country, Philippines or any other country, we cannot prepare a check. So all the payment methods which have a check will go back to the bank or the internal finance team which is located in the home country. Okay, they will prepare the check. So that is out of accounts payable process. Then remittance advice, it's nothing but the advice or a notification sent to the vendors from the customers advising that we have initiated your payment process and you will receive the payment shortly. So they will give the in detail information like which invoice are we paying, how much amount are we paying, then what is the currency that we are paying, and what is the bank, to which bank are we transferring the funds. See, again, bank means only they will provide the last four digits just for a confirmation. Okay, nobody provides the full information. That's an advice just sent to the all the vendors who are receiving a payment through electronic. So because checks, we don't know when that will be prepared, when that will be posted, how much time it will take to receive. So we don't give any assumptions. We don't go for any assumptions that how much time it will take. Electronic payment, we know what is the policy, what is the policy banks follow. So we know maximum 72 hours. That's a 3 days they will take it, right? So that is the reason we clearly mention about the time period for the checks. We don't send the remittance copy. So lastly, we have GL reconciliation, that is general ledger reconciliations. It's nothing but, guys, the invoices, overall invoices that has been submitted by one particular vendor is reconciled with the postings that we did. Means number of invoices that we processed. So for example, one particular vendor, ABC Private Limited, they overall sent 10 invoices to us. Okay, the GL team will sit and reconcile that how many invoices did we receive and process. In case any invoice which is number is there in the statement and which is not in the in our posting details, that is when they will go ahead and inform the vendor that we haven't received the invoice. Could you please submit the invoice so that we can process and make a payment as at earliest. So reconciliation happens between our postings in the system against the statement that vendor has shared with us. And guys, lastly, the escheatment process. So escheatment process talks about the unclaimed check payments, which, for example, we have issued a check for the one of the vendor. Okay, but we noticed that it has been already 6 months. Nobody is encashing that check. So our team will reach out to the vendor asking that we have issued a check, but however the encashment didn't happen. So they will go ahead and, so for example, they will say that I never received it or I forgot it. So then we can void the old check and prepare a new check and share with them. But what happens sometimes, they don't claim it. They say, I don't remember we doing a business with you. So no matter if you give a supporting document like invoice, anything, they will not be ready. Okay, or else some cases we don't find the vendor at all. Maybe they change the telephone number, address. We are unable to even locate the vendor. In such cases, the we will wait for some time and we will go ahead and submit that amount to the government stating as a unclaimed checks. So these are the few things that happens out of accounts payable, pre and post accounts payable. So purely the accounts payable talks about the central part which we have mentioned here. Okay. So these are the accounts payable, guys. This is what happens. These are the sub processes, and this is what happens in the accounts payable. So we have sub processes like five: vendor management, invoice processing, system edits and controls, payments, and customer service. So overall, accounts payable is divided into these five sub processes, which will complete the end-to-end process once the invoice is received till the invoice is processed and executed. Payment is executed. So coming to vendor management, so the word itself says vendor. Okay, vendor management means what, how, and what we will do when it comes to the vendor details. Okay, so new vendor setup happens, vendor maintenance happens, addition, deletion, amendment to the vendor details. So new vendor is, if it's a vendor is a brand new to us, with whom we haven't done any business earlier. Okay, so then we will go ahead and set up a vendor. Okay, then vendor maintenance. So vendor maintenance, what happens is, it's the maintenance words. If you have any particular for example, it's a any hardware company. Okay, they do a regular maintenance in the building, they do a regular maintenance, right? In the same way with the vendor details also, the vendor management team do a regular maintenance. So for example, every 6 months they will go ahead and check for the inactive vendors. So majorly they do the two things. One is they will check for an inactive vendors with whom we haven't done a business for almost 6 and more. Okay, so then they will go ahead and block those vendors so that I mean, because there are chances of making a wrong payment. So what happens if the invoice processing agent goes ahead and just by mistake he selected a wrong vendor and he made a payment. So there is a potential risk of incorrect payment. What happens, guys, if you're not doing a business for more than 6 months? So it is understood that maybe vendor never came back to us and gave a proper information. So if his email address is changed or telephone number is changed or address is changed, what if we make a wrong payment and if we have to collect back the money from the vendor? So it becomes very difficult. Okay, so again, it hampers the original vendor payment history. He will go, the original vendor who was supposed to receive, he will go ahead and issue a warning letter, or he'll issue a legal notices saying that he never received it. So just to avoid these kind of incorrect payments, the inactive vendors will be blocked until further notice. Means after 1 year, we might do a business with them. So then they are unblocked to make a payment. Okay. Secondly, they will do a regular vendor details update. Okay, so for example, we received an invoice. Okay, then the invoice processing agent realized that the vendor details in our system and on the invoice copy differs. Okay, that is when the invoice processing team will ask the vendor maintenance team to update the details. Also, guys, what happens as part of maintenance on a regular basis, the vendor management team contact all the vendors in the system, active, inactive, everybody. They'll drop a common mail saying that we are doing a regular maintenance and we would like to update your details. Please advise if any. So whichever vendor is interested or he want to update, he'll get back to the vendor management team asking to update the details. It's just that, guys, why this maintenance activity happens is, one thing, first thing is, we are not keeping any inactive vendor active just to avoid a wrong payments. And secondly, we are updating the vendor details on a regular basis so that in any case, if we do a business or if we make a wrong payment, we can contact them, right? Then addition, deletion, amendment of the details, and at any point of time, if the vendor or internal team comes back and says that there are changes in the details and they would like us to update it, the vendor management team will go ahead and update the details. Okay, so very important part here is, none of other teams can have an access to perform the activity what vendor management team will have. Same case, invoice processing team, edits, system edits, payments, customer service. Everybody are designated and authorized to do their own activities. They cannot do any other thing. Okay. Then comes invoice processing, guys. Invoice processing, the core sub process of the accounts payable. So once the invoices are scanned and indexed, okay, there is the agent picks up the invoice. And guys, this is very interesting part of an accounts payable. See, for me, every sub process is an interesting, because anybody can, I mean, can get so much of exposure that okay, this is what also happens. Okay, these are the details which are available, which we never look at. Okay, because when we talk about accounting, they only work for the expenses which are there, which are been already posted. They will pull up the data, everything, and they will prepare the financial statements. But what here happens is we know what exactly the vendor and the customer relationship is, how they are doing their business, and what kind of questions they get from the vendors, or what kind of approvals are required to get the payment processed and paid. Okay, so what happens in the invoice processing? They will validate the invoice. The team will invoice validate the invoice. So first thing is, have to check that whether the document received is an invoice or not, right? That's a basic check. What if you received an invoice, or if a document which is a statement? Ideally we don't process a statement, right? So it's an invoice validation, whether invoice or not. Check if there is any duplicate invoices in the system, so other than you, somebody else received it. Okay, so then invoice approvals. Okay, so we have two kinds of invoices here. Okay, so it's non-PO invoices and PO invoices. PO is nothing but the purchase order. Okay, that's a common abbreviations that we use when we talk in the accounts payable context. So non-PO invoices, wherein invoices which do not have a purchase order number, will be considered as a non-PO invoices. Okay, what are the important details for processing a non-PO invoices? Cost center, profit center code, GL account number, approval from authorized approver. Okay, cost center GL code. So this is so very common in accounts, but I would like to reiterate. So cost center is nothing but, guys, when we have a departments. Okay, so for example, finance department, then we have marketing, then we have a facilities department, logistic department, HR department. So what happens when we do an accounting, when we do accounting digital wise? So we don't go ahead and post transactions saying, okay, marketing department got this much, or the finance department had a cost of this much. No. So what happens in accounting perspective? Every department gets one code, which is a unique code. Okay, in the unique code will help in understanding that which cost center or which department has incurred how much cost. Okay, so ideally, when I receive an invoice from the vendor, first I need to understand that which particular cost center is getting this. I mean, for which cost center is this expenses incurred? Means which department incurred that expense. The GL code is the general ledger account number. Again, it's very specific to the all the financial expenses, okay, that are incurred. So GL account number is prepared in such a way that every expense will have one code. For example, when I'm talking about laptop, okay, laptop will have one GL account number. So same way, if I'm talking about building where the employees work, that building will have. So it is categorized. So all the expenses are categorized, and a unique account number is given to them, which is known as a GL account number. Okay. So guys, how is cost center and GL code helping anybody? So when anybody, if anybody in the higher authority, they want to know that which is a department which incurred highest expenses. So the total cost center report, if it is pulled, it will give you information that how much amount has went to each department. So whether marketing department is incurring excess expenses, or is it HR department or any other department. So it gives you an information. What GL code account number will help? GL account number will help, the report will help in understanding that where my total expenses are going. So for this year, if you notice, where my are my laptops where I'm buying more, or are my desks that I'm spending more? So that guys, when you understand the spend analysis, see, all this will help in spend analysis. So when we understand the spend analysis, the finance team, the accounting team will understand, and these details will help them in planning the budget for next year. So we are directly or indirectly helping the accounting team to prepare their budget for the next year, right? Then approval. So when we are buying certain things, when I'm requesting goods or services, can I go ahead and approve it? No, because when I'm raising a request, or when I'm going to the vendor and asking to provide me the goods and services, how can I approve? How can anybody rely that I'm a genuine buyer, right? So ideally, there will be a people, designated people already authorized to approve certain amount. Okay, so as I've written here, the approver should belong to the provided cost center and should be able to have authorization to approve the limit. So ideally, what does that mean? So if marketing department, this cost is for marketing department, can a finance department approver come and approve this marketing department expense? No. So that's the reason the approval should be validated by the invoice processing team and understand that this person belongs to the same cost center which has been provided to us. Okay, and the amount. So everybody, see, when depending on the designations, the approval limit is provided. Okay, so one person will have limit of $1,000, another 10,000, another $100,000. So depending on the designation wise, the approval limit will be there. So it's a responsibility of an invoice processing team to check that whatever whoever is an approver, can he approve the invoice amount. So the best part of guys, previously long back, everything used to happen in the papers, books, everything, right? Now everything is digital. We have many ERPs like SAP, Tally, wherein you have every detail. So you have an approval detail. You can verify whether that person has a limit in the same ERP. Okay. Then you can see whether that cost center also belongs to this approver. So the extra work or extra activities that are connected to the core process is something that can be easily done with the help of the ERPs. Okay, that's non-PO invoices. When coming to PO based invoices, where you have a purchase orders. Okay, so purchase order, guys, we initially spoke in the procure to pay cycle. So whenever there is a like when is there is a identified need is identified, we raise a request. That request is approved and converted to a purchase order. Purchase order copy is nothing but it's a type of placing an order, a document that goes for a placing an order. So once the purchase copy is received, the vendor will go ahead and deliver the goods. So for such purchases wherein the purchase order number is there, this is what the process is. So we will check for a goods receipt note. So as we discussed earlier, so every PO purchase need to be confirmed by the requester, whoever originally requested the goods, saying that yes, I confirm I received the goods and I'm good with the invoice that vendor has submitted. Okay, so until and unless goods receipt confirmation is not provided by the requester, we will not process the invoice for PO based. So how we will check once we receive the goods receipt confirmation, how we will verify whether that invoice is correct or a goods receipt note is enough. Okay, there are two ways: three-way match and two-way match. Okay, this is also very common thing on a regular basis. We here also, guys. So three-way match. The word itself say three things we will match here. One is invoice copy that we received from the vendor, the PO number that we also received, so it is with us, and the GRN, goods receipt confirmation, goods receipt note. So ideally all these three things should match with each other. So for example, invoice is for $100, okay, and the purchase order is for $100. So ideally, what should be the GRN amount? It should be also for $100. So if all the three are matching to each other, only then we can process the invoice. So there are cases, guys, sometimes the goods receipt confirmation will not match. It will be less than what the invoice has been issued. In such cases, we go back to the requester stating that we received an invoice for this much amount, for example, $100. PO is for $100, however, GRN, the goods receipt confirmation is only done for partial amount, let's say $50. So we will check with the requester whether this invoice is correct, or have you missed out doing the goods receipt confirmation. So according to their response, whether see, there might be cases that goods were returned because of damage, wherein the invoice vendor did not realize and he submitted the full invoice. So ideally I mean the requester should be billed only for the partial amount or the amount which has been goods received. The rest of the goods which are returned, they should not bill us, right? So there will be a corrections that will happen. So now the requester will go back to the vendor asking that you issued a wrong invoice, please go ahead and provide the correct invoice. What will invoice processing team will do in this case if there is a discrepancy? If there is a discrepancy in the invoice, we will go ahead and reject the invoice in the system. Right? Two-way match again. Here invoice is not involved, and such goods wherein which falls under two-way match, they do not have a invoice copy. So only the purchase order and the goods receipt confirmation will be there. So the system will automatically calculate, guys. The best thing about two-way matches, it is hardly one or two invoices will be received by the invoice processing team, or else rest of all the payments for two-way match will automatically be processed and paid. Okay, these are the types of invoices that we have. So again, in the invoice processing, let's talk about purchase orders. Okay, so purchase orders, what are purchase orders? See, we spoke a lot about PO, non-PO, and three-way match, two-way match, but we will learn about what exactly are the purchase orders. So purchase order is a pre-approved cost. Okay, it's a, see, the word itself says pre-approved cost, means the cost of the goods or services are approved before even ordering, right? So it is a commercial document issued to vendor as the order request. So as soon as the purchase order is raised, the that particular copy, purchase order copy, will be sent to the vendor, which he will understand that customer has placed an order. So what does the document will have? The PO document will have all type and description of the goods and services that we are buying. Then pricing, what is the individual cost or individual price of one unit and overall cost. Then what is the quantity that we are looking for, and the delivery period. So it is very important, every purchase order need to have a delivery period, so that on that delivery period the goods and services will be delivered or service will be provided. Okay, so what are the benefits of having a purchase order? See, as we discussed earlier, there are non-POs also, means the purchases were not made with I mean, the invoices were, or the purchases were not made with the purchase order number. So, so let's understand why this purchase order and how it will help. So it provides clarity between the buyer and the seller of the goods and service order. So as everything is electronic, everything is documented, okay, in the system. So it gives a clarity to the buyer and also the seller that how what is the good we needed, how much it is needed, and when it has to be delivered. So there is a clarity of the information. So it protects the vendor if the buyer refuses to pay for the goods and services. So in any case, see, it's a rare case, but there might be chances wherein the requester will deny the saying that I bought anything from this vendor. If he has a purchase order copy, he can give that purchase order number as a reference and say that I got this in order and this is a reference. So our team, the customer can go ahead and check that is that a genuine purchase order or not. So there are chances that the buyer will not lose the money. Okay, even though if the vendor will not lose the money if buyer or a requester is denying the purchase. And it simplifies the accounts payable process as a PO contains the buyer approval and the cost code information for booking the invoice. So as we discussed earlier, for any invoice which do not have a PO, we need cost center, GL code and approval. Wherein for purchase order, as it is already approved before the cost is actually incurred, before the order is placed, now we don't need anything like cost center code, GL code, or any approval required when we receive an invoice. The only thing that is required is goods receipt note. I mean, goods receipt confirmation from the requester that they received the goods. Okay, so we have four types of purchase orders. So PO, for example, we have standard purchase order, blanket purchase order, planned purchase order, and a contract purchase order. So very commonly used purchase order is standard purchase order, and blanket purchase order is also available. So there is very less use of planned purchase order, and contract purchase order is again gets converted to a standard purchase order. So you will, I mean, other than internal finance team, nobody can identify whether that's a standard purchase order or a contract purchase order. So what is standard purchase order? Is for one-time usage and is for purchase of specified goods and services. So standard purchase order is raised for only one-time purchase. We don't have multiple delivery dates for any goods or anything. It's just one-time usage and for a specified goods and services. Okay, blanket purchase order and planned purchase order little bit similar, but what is the difference? Let's see. Blanket purchase order is for purchases of specified goods and services over a specific period of time. Okay, so here what does that mean? I know what goods I needed. I know what is the amount, what is the cost that will incur, but I do not know what is the delivery schedule. Okay, so here the requester is aware of the goods and services which are required, knows the amount, but do not have an idea about the delivery schedule. So, for example, let's take pens, okay, stationery. I have a team of 10 people. Okay, so it's like for next uh, 12 months I'm raising a purchase order thinking that at any point of the time I might need a purchase, I mean, I might need pens. So, first I raised a purchase order for complete 12 months for 120 pens. Okay, thinking every month I might need 10 pens. So, first month I took it, I ordered for 10 pens. Okay, then in second month I did not do because my team were good, very good at not throwing out, not losing, not breaking the pens, so they still use the second month. Okay, so third month a few were broken, few lost it, few the ink refill was over. So second month I went and booked the another 10. So again third month I might have again go for a 10. Then I realized that no, I don't need for another 2 months. So here what is happening? I do not have a fixed idea about the date when I need it. Understood? So what is happening? So whenever there is a requirement, I'll go ahead and place an order. Okay, because I created a purchase order for a good period. Okay, that's a blanket purchase order. Wherein planned purchase order, I know what I needed, I know how much cost it will be, and also I am aware when I will need it. Okay, so now let's say same pens example. For 12 months, I raised a purchase order for 120 pens, and I know that every month on 5th or 10th or on specified date, I need that pens to be received. So when I create a planned purchase order, I have given the delivery date also to them that every month on this specific day, please deliver the pens to me. So that's a proper planned purchase order. Okay. So coming to contract purchase order is for purchase of unspecified goods and services over a period of specified period of time. What does that mean? So that means, see, I I do not know that I might incur this expense, but I'm sure that I might or might not. See, the thing is, there are chances that I might not avail the service, but I'm expecting that what if that service is required? Okay, let's say, let's think about tax consultant. Okay, so I am thinking that I might require this person, but I don't know any idea that which time I will need it or whether I will really need it or not. But I'm just thinking that I might need it. So, in a safer side, I get into a contract with the consulting firm, tax consulting firm, saying that I might need it, your service, or for a tax, any other service from the tax consulting company. I might need any kind of service, okay, which I'm not sure I will, it will happen, but I might go for that. So just to be in a safer side for a continue for a period like 12 months, I will get into a contract with this person saying that I might go for your service, but I'm not sure of that. But whenever I go for this service, I will go ahead and um, I will go ahead and raise a purchase order for you, and you have to give me in certain amount. So I'm deciding, I'm getting into agreement with this firm stating that I need your service. I might need your service, and if I need and come back to you, you have to provide me with certain specification or pricing. So they both get into a contract. So there is no bond for me that I have to go for this particular purchase or service. It's just that when I need it, I will go ahead and raise a standard purchase order, the normal, the first purchase order, what we spoke about, and order for the service or a goods. That's a contract. So before raising a purchase order itself, I get into a contract with them. Okay. So that's what it is, and we spoke about goods receipt note, what it is, and how it works. Okay, so in the accounts payable, we will also invoice processing. We will see what are the modes of receiving invoices. So this is very important, guys. We need to understand, and we should understand that how do we receive invoices. So we receive invoices through paper invoices and paperless invoices. So right now, being more digital, we go for paperless invoices. But however, in few of the countries, still there are people like old people or people who doesn't really trust the electronic devices. Okay, electronic forms. They go for a paper invoices. So paper invoices, how are they received? Like a hard copy through mail or a fax. Okay. Then paperless invoices, all the invoices which are received through electronically. For example, invoices through email, downloaded in the vendor's website or submitted in the customer website. So it's a similar, guys, the way we download our credit card invoice from the bank website, or our phone bills, electricity bills. Okay, same way, even we as a customer, okay, in personally, individually doesn't happen, guys. But however, when we are an organization, I can give an access to limited access to my vendors to log in into my website and submit an invoice. Similar way, they have an option, they can give us an option to log in into their website and download the invoices. Okay, these are the few things in invoice processing we will look into. So other than the processing of an invoice, they will also look into query management. So query management is nothing but, in any case, if you do not have a full information, the complete details are not available, that is when the invoice processing team contacts the respective team and puts a hold on the invoice. They will not process the invoice until all the details are available. Okay. Then comes invoice parking posting. Then again, depending if we are unable to process an invoice because of incomplete information, invoices are parked. Okay, if we have all the information, invoices are posted. Okay, so then comes system edits and controls. See, when we are doing all these activities, everything, where is the control? What is the control that we are putting so that we are having a zero errors? See, we cannot say complete zero errors, but we try for zero errors, but we get success to certain extent. Okay, because when we make a payment, there are chances, lots of chances, wherein the hackers or fraudsters come in between. They will change the email address, they'll come in between, they will go ahead and submit a invoice which will be identical to the vendor, and but however the banking details will be different. So to control everything, or to control that we don't make a duplicate payment. Okay, for example, we received an invoice today, and again immediately, yes, tomorrow we received another invoice. Now the both the invoices are processed, both of them missed out checking any duplicates. Okay, then what happens? Then there are chances of two payments going out, guys, so which is a loss, because collecting a payment back is the biggest challenge. Okay, also the quality. See, the two major things that happens in the system edit control: the quality check and the duplicate audit. So what is quality check? Means it's a regular check that happens in every organization, every kind of work we do. Okay, so quality check will help in end-to-end process audit, that we are not missing out anything. We are putting the right invoice number, we have selected the right vendor to make a payment. Also, we have not missed in checking whether we are the right people to make a payment. So there are chances, guys, wherein people just miss out checking the billed to name. Okay, and we end up in making a payment to some company which is not supposed to pay it by us. So quality check will have a complete end-to-end check, and they will identify any issues, and immediately those issues are corrected so that wrong payments are not made. So duplicate audit is very important for an accounts payable. Okay, so there will be a tool for every organization wherein they put all the invoices which are due. They will retrieve the data, okay, and they will check for a duplicate audit. So once in that tool, what happens? All the invoices which are posted will be checked, and in the ERP, if there are any double posting or more than one posting for one invoice is done, it identifies. Now the duplicate audit team will sit and investigate that why there were duplicate postings done. There might be a genuine reason, there might not be a genuine reason. There might be a mistake, okay, and a proper mistake. There might be a genuine that they did not see. For example, there is a return. Okay, so what happens? The invoice is posted, then again a reverse entry is posted, again a correct invoice is posted. Now this person did not change the invoice number. The vendor did not come back and change the invoice number for the new invoice, neither a reversal. So what is happening here? The numbers are same. So the system is identifying the same numbers. Okay, are we understanding? So when the same numbers are identified, then the system edits and control team will get into that and check it. And if it's genuinely that it's not an error, it's just the reversal entries and the correction entries are passed, that will go through for the payment. But however, if it's a genuine error that has been made, that will be corrected and resent for payment. Okay, this duplicate audit is the biggest advantage for an accounts payable department, because, like, if this is not done, there is no other way that you sit and find the duplicate payments. And there are cases, guys, wherein $1,000, $100,000, millions of money, wherein they are caught in the duplicate payment, just because there was a little bit difference of, I mean, by mistake they put a zero. Okay, so they don't understand the difference between zero and o, something like that. Okay, so those are the controls. Then comes to payments. So what's the payments department do? So payment departments, as I earlier said, payments department only executes the payments. They share the due invoices details to the bank so that they can go ahead and make a payment. So what happens here? So the payments team extracts all the invoices which are due and overdue for that particular period. Okay, then they will run the proposal. So what does proposal means? So what happens, being in payments team, when we retrieve the data, extract the data of all the due overdue invoices, we also have to check with the internal finance team. Why is internal finance team coming to picture? Hmm. Because they are the people who has to approve, saying yes, we have funds in the bank, we can go ahead and release the funds. Okay, so when this proposal is sent to them saying that okay, for today's payment, we can make, so the total overdue and due amount is somewhere a hundred, like $100,000. Let's say that's the minimum that will not be there, but it's a huge amount will be the due. So that $100,000 we will give the complete sheet with individual payments to the finance team. Now finance team will verify the details what we shared. Also, they will verify in the bank, do we have that $100,000 available? Okay. See, until and unless we don't have funds and proper approvals, we cannot go ahead and initiate the payments. Okay. So once a proposal is approved by the internal finance team, who are also called as an cash and bank team or a treasury team. So every company has their own way of calling the department name, but overall they are a finance team, internal finance team. Okay. So once the proposal is approved, now we will go ahead and send that data to the bank. Okay, so our final file will go to the bank. So our work is over there, guys. We extract the invoices which are due, not due. Then we will see, are there any exceptions, like individual countries have different exceptions. Individual vendor will have a different kind of exceptions, and different expense type will also. For example, utility bills, as they are very urgent payments and very critical payments, they have certain exceptions. So same way, all the exceptions will be followed, and the final approval, final file and the approval will be sent to the bank. So what does this file will have? This file will have all the vendor names, vendor IDs, invoice amount, invoice date, invoice number, and the amount that is actually need to go. Okay, then our work is done. So payments team in accounts payable work ends till the final file is shared with the bank. Now the bank will start sending the payments to, they will run a report, they will run their process, and it will go at a time. And all the check payment details will be separated so that they can sit and prepare the check. Either they can do, or they can ask the internal finance team, the company's finance team, to prepare a check. Okay, that's all we do as a payments team. In some cases, if any payments gets rejected because of incorrect bank details, or else the remittance, the check cannot go to that remittance address, anything that will come back to the payments team, and they will investigate what is the reason for rejections and action accordingly. So this is our fifth sub process. So very important. The first four are very important for an accounts payable to successfully get into the fourth step. Okay. Then comes customer service. This department is involved in all other four sub processes. Wherever there is information required, wherever there is a question asked by the vendor or a requester, everywhere these people get involved. Okay, so customer service, the word itself says that they are there to help the customers. Okay, so calls and emails are received for the invoice status. So vendor will send an email saying that where is my invoice? My invoice was supposed to be paid yesterday or someday you haven't paid. So these people will check the system and answer their queries. Is that already paid? Or is it still have to be paid in waiting for an internal approvals? Okay, these are the major activity for customer service. Also, the lastly they do a vendor reconciliation. It's the same way the GL reconciliation what we spoke about. Okay, so vendor reconciliation is nothing but vendor will send a statement. Okay, and the customer service will retrieve the data from the ERP for that particular vendor, the payment history, and they will sit and reconcile that whatever this vendor is saying, did we process it or did we receive it or not? So it's see, if you notice guys, every step is very interesting. Okay, and lot of presence of mind is needed, because any simple, like if vendor management team changes the bank details, okay, just by receiving an email without checking that person is authorized or not, it will affect the whole payment process. Neither vendor will receive a correct payment on time, and we will lose our payment. Same way, invoice processing team, if they do go ahead and don't input the correct amount, then we will lose the huge amount there. Either overpayment or low payment we will make. Same with payments team, if they don't consider any exceptions or if they don't get an approval, it will get delayed, because without approval bank will never take a payment request. Customer service, very very critical, that you customer service is the face of the company, right? So they have to be very careful in answering an emails, calls, polite, you should be very polite, do not, I mean, should not lose the temper, everything, right? This is the whole procure to pay process that we work on. So there are certain things which very important for us, which will be the last part of my session. That what we don't consider in accounts payable means what kind of documents we don't process, which are out of scope for AP. Okay, like pro forma invoices, which you might have heard about. So they are the documents shared by the supplier to inform the amount due and order details. It is not a payment request. Accounts payable will disregard the pro forma invoices. So it's just a for your information kind of document which the vendor will share with their customers once the order is processed. Okay, just to inform that you ordered this much goods and this is the amount you will be charged for. It will not have any tax. Okay, then statement. So statement is a document which gives insight of the total invoices raised and their status from vendor point of view. Statements are reconciled by the GL team. So GL team is not part of an accounts payable, guys. General ledger team is not part of an accounts payable. So they are the people who will do the reconciliation. Yes, customer service does sometimes only when they receive it, but it's a core activity for general ledger team. So statements are not processed by invoice processing team, because statement is not a payment request. It's just I mean, all the pending invoices, raised invoices, paid invoices are mentioned there with the status, vendor's point of status. That gets updated only when we give the correct picture to them. Okay, then invoices related to charity, political contribution. So even accounts payable doesn't deal with any invoices which are related to charity performed by an organization or any payments due to the government. will not be processed by the accounts payable. Okay. Then a very important, very important part is intercompany invoices. Okay. So what are intercompany invoices? So the invoices which are billed for the transaction between two legal entities of same company. Okay. So for example, if the company is same, okay, okay, then there is a branch in India, there is a branch in the US. Okay, if there are any kind of activities or a transaction happening between India and US, and okay, for example, let's say US is billing India. Okay, now US cannot send the invoice to accounts payable because we work only on the vendor payments. So this accounts, the US part will have to send the invoices to intercompany department. See, that's the reason invoices are dealt by intercompany payables team, because that's just a transfer of funds between a cost center to another cost center, or a company code to another company code. Okay, understood. So this is the overall procure to place process which we spoke about accounts payable. What we do as an accounts payable agent in the individual department, okay, and take a what we don't as part of an accounts payable. So that's all, guys. Now the chat. We will start the chat for any questions. So any kind of questions you can post it, and we will look into that and try to answer maximum.
चैट ओपन कर दीजिए ना क्वेश्चंस के लिए। हेलो। हाँ हाँ। We just open the chat and we just open the chat in like a minute's time. Ask your question.
So guys, the chat is opening for Q&A. So just in a minute or two, we should be able to you should be able to ask questions. Okay, the chat is open right now, so you can post your questions. Any questions on how the how the procure to pay works, or how it will help you to boost your career, start your career, anything. Also, very important, you can ask about the course. Okay.
So we will give 5 minutes for Q&A.
Okay, so we will give you the 5 minutes, guys, to for a Q&A. Please post it quickly.
Our sales team is personally contacted.
So you can post even comment in the comments that you are, if you're interested in this program, so that our sales team will contact you further and will discuss about this program.
Hello guys, I'm back. I see few of the questions coming in. One question is asked that can we get the notes for the reading purpose? Yes, certainly you can get the notes and all the material once you are into the course. We will certainly provide all the notes and relevant documents. Um, just for the reading purpose, you can always go through this video and it will be helpful for you if you want that. I see Madan also asking one more question. Says, will the whole class will going to be theory based or it will be practical? It's both theory and practical. So Madan, today's class was based on in terms of just understanding the entire flow, how the entire procure to pay process looks like. But when we are having the actual class, then there will be practical. Along with that, there will be a lot of communication classes, interview skills development also will happen because that will help you in a overall growth in terms of cracking the interview. Any more question, guys? We are still open for the next 5 minutes in case if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer. Which one is better, P2P, O2C, or R2R? It's up to you, but if you ask me, the current requirement from a job role perspective, the higher demand is on O2C and P2P compared to R2R. So all three are equal. It depends on the level of work that you want to do and also what is your interest. So we have our demo classes for O2C tomorrow and R2R day after. So probably you can go through these demo classes and then decide on your own which one you want to prefer. But if you ask from a job perspective, I can just suggest between O2C and P2P are in higher demand as per current market. But having said that, that doesn't mean the R2R is not. So if you ask me, most probably like 70% is O2C and P2P and 30% is R2R. Tomorrow's class timing will be the same 3 p.m. We will come live. We will have another SME. Our next SME will be Altaf and Niranjan, who will be taking you through on order to cash for tomorrow. And on 26th, we will have record to report. Who will teach us O2C and R2R, Radha ma'am or someone else? Radha ma'am is an expert on procure to pay. So she will only take classes for procure to pay. There will be another trainer called Altaf and Niranjan. Altaf will take your order to cash and Niranjan sir will go ahead and take record to report. I Is there any more question, guys? I'll give another 2 minutes of time in case if you have any clarification, you can certainly post. And later on, in case if you still have any queries, our SPC sales team will be easy to contact you guys. And, get you more details about this particular requirement. Uh, One second, I don't even know the ABC of Tally and Excel. Will I be able to understand easily? Very, very easily. You do not need Tally for this particular piece. But having said that, Excel is something that is very much needed if you really want to work in the industry, in the corporate industry. So my suggestion would be learn a little bit of Excel. Excel is not a tough job. It's very easy. It's hardly in between. Also, we will teach you within the course. We will teach you about a little bit of basic Excel and everything. But having said it, it's always good to go ahead and you know learn something on your own. So that's always added benefit in your skill set. What are the things provided during our course? So in the course, the entire curriculum, we had a webinar yesterday wherein we have showed the entire course curriculum. What are the topics that we will be covering under that? Along with the topics, we will also be covering the topics under a bit of communication skills. We will be covering the topics in terms of interview skills. We will also be covering doing a lot of mock interview sessions with you, and will help you in terms of clearing any job placement which will be available right from the 25th day of the training. So that is all that we will be covering in the entire course, because our agenda is to ensure that you are getting placed in one of the good organizations within the industry. You are currently, I see one question is, you're currently working with a CA firm. How can you manage the classes? Very easily. Every day we will just have 2 hours of classes, and you can just join for 2 hours. It is not the entire day classes. So I think for your benefit, you can take out 2 hours of your time, because let's say if I have to learn something when I was working with organizations to enhance my skill set, I learned RPA courses. I ensured I am learning Six Sigma and Lean courses, and got myself certified. So some effort has to come in from your end, guys. You have to take out time if you are really keen on getting things. Mm. Ma'am, do you have to go for night shift as well? It's a 24 by 7. It depends on the requirement of the job role. My suggestion would be you should be open for any shift, whether it is evening, night, afternoon, because it depending on which kind of process you are getting into it. Remember at the beginning of the session, I spoke about how multinational companies, Fortune 500 companies outsource their process, right? So let's say the business or the company is located, the original company is located in Australia, and they are outsourcing their business to India. So then probably you will work in afternoon shift as per Australian shifts, right? But has it been US, then probably you will work in evening or night shift, something like that. But let's say if it is somewhere around Europe, so it will be a little bit of morning shift, and Australian also you can do morning shift. So it depends. So you have to be open for 24 by 7, because understand one thing. First thing is important. You have to get into the industry. You have to get a job first. Once you get a job, you get settled in the job. Probably you can then ask for shift change and all that is there. But first you need to be comfortable and open for any shift. Okay, you're welcome, Lipu. Any other question, guys, or we are good to go? We can probably then end the session. I'll just okay, fees for the course is 25,000. I hope I have answered your question, Anjum. I want to work in Gurgaon only, so will it be possible? See, the job locations are NCR, which is Gurgaon, Noida, Delhi, and Hyderabad, Jaipur, Kolkata. So we will ensure that we are pushing you for a Gurgaon location if you are looking forward to. But having said that, we can't promise anything. It's better to get a job first, right? We will certainly place you, or put you through the interview of any of the organization, saying that your preference is Gurgaon. But having said that, let's see if you are getting it, but we will try. We can't promise you on that, please, because I don't want to give any wrong information here. Timing for addressing queries. Thank you for addressing queries. Okay, thanks, Madan. You're welcome. Okay, great. Then thank you so much for everyone who has been throughout this particular session, and also thank you who for the people who will be watching it forward. So please, it's a very great opportunity. This is the first time ever that we are doing with Swapnil Patni classes. That we are doing the entire course and getting you industry ready and getting your job ready so that you have the job offer letter in hand. Obviously it also depends in terms of how well you are conducting in your interviews and your assessments, but this is one of the golden opportunity that you can just grab and you just can't miss it. So we will be looking forward for you guys to join in. Fees is 25,000. I'm just repeating it. And timing for tomorrow and day after is 3 p.m. again. So we will be looking forward for you all to join in. Great then. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good rest of the day. And please ensure that you all are joining the course and getting placed in any of the good organizations. Great then. Thank you so much, guys.